Hey guys, this is Neil. I've been thinking about the channel for a bit and I've kind of come to a conclusion or an epiphany. I think I would like to begin focusing a little bit more on starter kit material. Not 100%. I just want to integrate more starter kit centric videos into the channel because um, a lot of full ASL players understand the system a lot better than new players coming into the system via starter kit. And I think starter kit players need a little more help to get them excited about the system, to help them understand the system. And one of the points of this channel when I started it was to help encourage and pull new blood into this 40-year-old system that we all love. So I'm not going to get rid of the previous content I've been doing, unboxing and tactical tips and AARs, but I'm going to start doing more starter kit centric videos. And to that end, what I think I'm going to try is I'm going to actually take the examples from the starter kit rulebook, which is available for free on Multiman Publishing's website for those interested in the system. But I'm going to take the examples from the rulebook. I think there are 27 of them. I'm going to sit down and do a video on every example. I'm going to lay them out. I'm going to talk you through the examples. You can follow along in the rulebook if you want, or you can read the rules and follow the example and come back to the video at some point. And then at the end of each example, I'm going to try to elaborate a little bit more. Maybe add a few more examples that showcase what is in the starter kit example that is in the rulebook. I'm going to try this. We'll see how it goes as far as popularity, usefulness, that sort of thing, but I'm going to give it a go. And the first example from the rulebook, which is on page 3, is orchards, the basics of orchards, which is actually pretty simple. So I have the example laid out here in Vassal. I'm going to be doing all of these examples in Vassal because it is so much easier to work with counters and pulling counters and doing setups in Vassal as opposed to doing it all with physical components over and over again with a bunch of little micro setups to show how the game works. So I'm going to be doing all of these in Vassal, which from a teaching point of view shouldn't be a problem. It looks the same, it plays the same, it all works out. So we have orchards here. We have a German 467 up on a level 1 hill, which is a maximum level in starter kit. There's no levels higher than 1. And then we have 3 British squads in and around an orchard and 1 over in the building. And there are 2 cases that arise pertaining to the rules of orchards. There are in-season orchards and there are out-of-season orchards. And the line of sights behave differently depending on the date on the scenario that you're playing. So in-season orchards are April through October. So any scenario played April through October, pretend that the depiction on the board is as you see it. There are leaves on all the trees, and it's hard to see through it. And I put a little graphic up on the upper left to show that. The upper part of that graphic showing a line of sight going through trees full of leaves, line of sight will be blocked. The other situation is out of season, which is November through March. So any scenario in that time frame, orchards are devoid of trees, and you have to imagine these depictions here as basically not having leaves, meaning you can see down through them, but they're going to hinder your view, and you can still take a shot, but you're going to have a line of sight hindrance to the diagonal modifier. So let's look at those 2 situations here in this example. The 467, what type of line of sight or hindrance does it have to each of these squads? So let's look at in season first. So the orchards are in full bloom. They have perhaps cherry blossoms on them, lots of leaves, hard to see through it. So if the German squad wants to fire at that squad, he has line of sight because they are adjacent. Simple as that. Now, if he wants to fire at this squad back here, he is up on the level 1, but as the depiction shows on the left, he cannot see down through the orchard through the leaves. So that line of sight will be obstructed. He does not have a line of sight to the unit in W2. Now, if he wants to fire over here at the squad in the building in X2, same situation applies. The line of sight runs right along that hex spine. And as we know, orchards are inherent terrain. So the orchard depiction actually runs right up to that hex spine. And in that case, it is going to hit the leaves. And that line of sight to X2 will be blocked if orchards are in season. Now let's take a look at the case where the scenario takes place between November and March, where the orchards are out of season. There are no leaves on the trees. Line of sight to there is clear. They're adjacent. He can fire at them with no problem. No terrain effect modifier. Orchards have a 0 terrain effect modifier, and since it's adjacent, the line of fire is not going through a orchard hex between fire and target, so there's no hindrance. Now, if he's firing back here to W2, that's a situation with the graphic on the lower left. He's firing down through the limbs with no leaves on it, and he's going to have a +1 diral modifier due to the hindrance of firing down through the limbs devoid of leaves. Same thing goes here. He's firing down. There's inherent terrain. He's firing down through the trees without any leaves, and he's going to have in this case, it's going to be a +1 hindrance and a +3. He's going to have a +4 modifier for total for the hindrance and the stone building. Now let's continue on and add to this example. I added 2 squads here. And what they want to do is they want to form a fire group and fire at this British squad back through the orchards in the open ground back there. Now it's going to be an 8 firepower, and if they fire when the orchards are in season, this unit cannot even see the British unit back behind the orchards due to the foliage shooting down through the leaves. It blocks the line of sight. So you wouldn't even form a fire group. This guy would fire alone, and it would be a +1 hindrance. Now, if this was out of season and these 2 squads formed a fire group, they would have a line of sight, but there would be different hindrances. So it would be 8 firepower. This squad here would be imposed with a +1 hindrance due to going through just this one orchard hex. This squad would be imposed with a +2 hindrance for going through 2 orchard hindrances. Therefore, the worst of the 2, they're not additive. You take the worst of the 2, +1 versus +2. So it would be an 8 firepower +2 diral modifier to the attack roll. A little bit more complicated orchard hindrance situation where you have a fire group and you have different hindrance modifiers from each of the 2 units. And as always applies, line of sight is reciprocal and hindrances and obstructions. So anything that these German units can see and fire at, same with the British. They either can see, cannot see, or it is hindered in the same manner. All right, that's all I had for example 1. Very simple orchard example. I added to it a little bit. Hopefully these examples will be helpful. And as we progress through the starter kit rulebook, they'll get a little more complex, and they'll probably evolve and become a little more helpful the more complex they become as I run through these examples and add to them and show you additional information that really isn't shown in the examples. The examples are very straight to the point. They really don't look at situations where things can change. And in some of the future examples, I'll actually start rolling some dice to see what would happen if certain occurrences should happen depending on the die roll. All right, please leave comments below, leave feedback, and we'll see how this series goes. All right, see you in the next video.
Good night, ladies.
If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you saw, thanks for watching, and let me know how I can do better. See you in the next video.